Okay, so we're going to do another sort of analysis on my screen, and I'm going to show you what the best deals are. The best deals are the ones where you have options. Options. Excuse me. Options. So what that means is we have a calculator. We have basically three ways out for most of our properties. We can wholesale it, which means that we go into contract and then assign the contract to another buyer. We can wholesale it, which means we close. We do minimal work to it, maybe clean out and list it, sell it to a retail buyer, and then we could do a full rehab on it or a fix and flip or a flip. So usually that's going to be a function of price, right? If you buy it cheap enough, you're going to have a lot of options because you can do a lot of things with it. So I'm going to show you this as analysis on a deal that we're doing now. And at first glance, it would look like we should rehab it or even wholesale it. But when you see the costs on there, you'll see why we're almost only going to wholesale it. So I'm going to show you my analysis. So if anybody wants this calculator, you can definitely have it. I'll send it to you. This is the deal we're buying. We're buying it for around $320, and that's off by a few dollars with the buyer. And taxes are about $14,000. Okay, it's not occupied. It's need permits. We can talk about those at a later time. So we have three options, right? I didn't put the address in because we're still working it, and I don't want to get it out there yet. So we can wholesale it for $355, which means we make about $35,000. We have a $2,500 legal fee on that. You might have more, you might have less, but that's what we pay for an in and out on an assignment with a very good attorney. If you need an attorney, you can let me know too. So we're gonna make around 32,500 on this, right? This is really the max offer. I back in what our offer should be. So if we're buying this for 320 and I want to make 30,000 in profit, I'm going to make an extra 2,500. It's a little complicated, but basically, in general, I want to know what my offer is. So if I clean up and list it, right, I think I can sell it for around 400. All right, so you'd say, why don't you do that? And then I usually try to make a little more on those because it takes time. But this is why, because you have purchase closing costs. Even if I do nothing on this deal, I mean, I'm gonna have to do something, even if I have to clean it up. So it's probably cost me $500 to do something to it. But here are my holding costs. I mean, it's take me 4 months, right? I'll get it ready in a month, but to find a buyer and get them to close, it can take 4 months. That's being generous. It's usually 5. I really should take that even longer because that's really what it ends up being. I don't have to evict anybody, right? If I put that it's occupied, I would put an eviction cost. But it's going to cost me like $19,000 in holding costs, even if I have to hold it for 5 months. Now, the truth is my interest costs have gone down. It's probably going to cost me less, but it's still going to cost me whatever, $15,000, $16,000 in costs. This is the property taxes for 5 months, right? I got to pay that. Now, the truth is my $10,000 purchase closing cost usually covers the property taxes. I'm being very conservative here because things show up. Like you think you may only have to do $500, but then the last couple of wholesale deals we did, we had additional costs. So I'm trying to be very very conservative here. So utilities $1,750. I don't know what that's going to be. Commissions $8,000, which is 2% of this $400,000, right? We pay that to a buyer's broker. Theoretically, if we found the buyer without it, we wouldn't pay any commissions, but you don't know. That's our legal fee on the out, insurance costs of what we're gonna have to pay while we're holding it, and then this title and transfer tax. So it's gonna cost $51,000 for me to close on it. So even if I'm gonna sell it at 400, so let me just see what. So I'm gonna make the same amount, right? Almost the same amount, wholetailing it as I would wholesaling it. So why the hell would you do that? I mean, you get your money now and have no risks. There's risks every time you take a property down, right? This happens to work out where it's all going to be around the same. It just happens to be, but sometimes you're going to make more on one of these than others, right? If I could clean up and list it and sell it for 450, right? If that's what the market was bearing, then this would be looking a lot better. It might be something where I want to take the property down and do that. But that's just where it is. Now, full rehab is around 500. It might be 5.25. Again, I'm being conservative. But now I want to make more money. So I can make $60,000, this is telling me, if I do that, even more, right? But it's going to cost me $100,000 of cash that I'm going to have to expend besides what I'm borrowing on this. So for me to wait 7 months on that, and it's probably more like 8, I should really figure that. You know, it's not so simple, right? I can make the 30,000 now or wait for more, right? I can wait for 60, even 70, but there's so much risk involved and I got to expend $100,000. Here I got to expend nothing, right? Or maybe a deposit, so whatever that is. But so you got to look at the analysis. Now, obviously, we bought it at a good price, so we're going to make money one of two ways. But let's say my wholesale buyer flakes out on me right away. It's possible. right? I know I can close on it, right? I have lenders who will jump at it, and then I can even decide. I can put it I can put it out at 400, see what kind of bites I get. If I don't get any, I can do the work to it. So again, the best deals always are going to be deals where you're buying it cheap enough that you have options. You can wholesale it, you can wholesale it, right? If you don't know what wholetailing is, it's what we just said. It's buying something and doing minimal work to it and then selling it retail. And then there's full rehabs or flipping or fix and flipping. So those are the best deals where you're buying it cheap enough. So you have to analyze it. You have to analyze whether there's something that works. But the beauty of wholesaling is that there is no surprises, right? All the surprises are somebody else's. It's important to understand that. Anytime you own a property and it snows, someone's got to shovel that snow. Anytime you own a property and it becomes spring, somebody's got to cut that grass. And those are things that we sort of put into the holding cost, but you've got to understand that surprises come up all the time on rehabs, right? I estimated that this needs $40,000 in rehab costs, but if something was much worse, it could be $60,000 in rehab costs. So there's a lot of assumptions on this. Now, for the first 4 years, we got rehabbed every single property that we did, and we made more money every year. We lost money on a couple of deals, but we made money on almost all of them, and that was great. But it's very hard to scale when you're rehabbing, right? It's possible to rehab 2, 3, 4 deals at a time, but when you get more, we were doing 20 at a time. It got crazy, and it's important to understand that you're definitely you should, if you're doing it right, you should make more money rehabbing, and it's much easier to get into rehabbing because you can buy a deal from a wholesaler like us. So I mean, just for this deal, you see that this guy's going to buy it for $355. I mean, he's going to make good money. I mean, he'll make, if he does a good job, he can sell for more than $500. Again, I'm being conservative. It's really probably $525. I mean, he's going to make $60,000 on it. He's going to make twice as much as me. I'm fine with that. I hope they all make more money. But you got to be aware of how you want to scale your business. At our level, if we want to scale, we'd have to really make double and be sure of making double on a rehab. There are some times that it comes out. If this rehab was worth $600, this is something we might want to rehab, right? If this was a cleanup and list and it was $450, then that's a better deal. You have to analyze it, and the way to do that, as I showed you on comping the properties, is you really got to look at what investors are paying in the area, what fully rehabbed houses are going for, that's the ARV, and what junky houses are selling to retail buyers for, right? So it's important to comp out all those 3 properties. Really important, and it's important to look into what the other options are. Again, if anybody wants this calculator, I'm happy to send it to them. If anybody wants more information about comping properties, we offer free coaching. We had somebody come to the office today who we're definitely going to help. I think it's going to be great, and we're happy to help anyone who needs it. So I know this is 10-minute topics, and I'm only 8 minutes and 13 seconds into it, but I think I'm out of information. But again, the best properties are the ones you can buy and have options of whether to wholesale, or flip, or full rehab. So it's almost always a function of price. Buy it cheap enough, and you don't have to worry about it. I'll talk about this. So some people are wholesaling, they're all terrified. What happens if my buyer flakes out? So you got to have a good funding partner ready that can close in a couple of days. And then if the deal's good enough, then you close it yourself, and then either wholesale it or rehab it yourself. That's the way you don't have to worry. That's why we sleep at night, and we don't wake up in the middle of the night thinking what's going to happen. And I know in the beginning it's scary, but if you're buying it for the right price, if you can wholesale it, you almost certainly can rehab it. You may not want to rehab it, but if you buy it for the right price, you have options, and those are the best deals to do.